Hi, it's Ed Crane at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. This is the headquarters hotel for the Cap to Cap delegation, as it has been every year for the past 15 years. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Keith McClincy, who is the Director of Sales and the unofficial historian for this hotel. Built in 1925, and having stayed here 3 years, I just love it. It's a grand damn hotel, the likes of which, unfortunately, we don't have too many left in the U.S.
No, you're absolutely correct, and something we're very proud of. The hotel, when it was built, had three original purposes. Originally, it was obviously a hotel. There were also 100 apartments that provided housing for most of Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Vice President Curtis under Calvin Coolidge. Additionally, our grand ballroom was designed specifically to host inaugural balls. Up until that point, ballrooms in the city were very few, so inaugural balls were typically held in temporary government structures like tents or even abandoned office buildings. So our ballroom really was designed to host inaugural balls. We opened in February of 1925, and our first event was March, which was Calvin Coolidge's inaugural charity ball, and we had over 8,000 people in the hotel for that event. And that tradition of hosting inaugural balls continued all the way up until Ronald Reagan. We actually hosted his inaugural ball in our grand ballroom.
Well, folks, stay with us. We're going to take you on a tour of this beautiful hotel, courtesy of Keith.
The hotel takes up an entire city block. We actually front Connecticut Avenue. The back of the hotel is 17th Street, and it literally has this grand promenade, which is where all of our meeting space radiates off of. So people love when they visit here because, again, you don't have views like this in most hotels in the city. And, of course, we're only 2 blocks from the White House. So it's a very convenient location for people visiting D.C.
And you've got all sorts of clientele. You've got a cap-to-cap delegation. You've got some airline pilots and flight attendants to my left. All sorts of groups.
Yes, I mean, we have a very diverse group of people that stay here. We love it.
Baseball teams?
Baseball teams, hockey teams. Unfortunately, the Caps didn't do very well this year, our team. But they did make it to the playoffs, and then were beat by the Lightning. The Lightning was staying with us until they started losing, and then they came back and stayed with us, and they won. So I think they'll be signing a 10-year contract with us.
All right, we're off to the Grand Ballroom next. Well, if you love history, you're going to enjoy the story about this room. This is the Grand Ballroom at the Mayflower Hotel. And Keith, Calvin Coolidge, Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, virtually every president on up to Ronald Reagan has had their inaugural ball here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that really was earned this hotel the nickname the Inaugural Ball Hotel because we hosted so many of those balls in this very room. Interestingly enough, we like to say our living history is the people that work here. So we actually have a lady who recently retired. Her first event as a banquet server was John F. Kennedy's inaugural ball. I mean, what a way to begin your career with a hotel and with Marriott. We're setting up for an event tonight that's going to happen. And again, the servers, average length of service is about 30 years. So they are the living history as well as the events that have happened here in this space. And it's amazing. I mean, when Hillary Clinton dropped out of the presidential campaign, her first public appearance with Barack Obama was in this ballroom for their fundraisers. And events like that continue all the time. I mean, it's not just events like you mentioned, which is Coolidge's inaugural ball, our first. They're happening today. Your guys' breakfast was in here the other day. It's a great space, great, very special place.
Well, you obviously take great care of your employees. I just have to ask you, what's it like on the run-up now? I guess Ronald Reagan was a while ago. Maybe you weren't here, but what's it like when you have these political events? Secret Service must come in and sweep the room, and are there metal detectors, etc.? It
depends on the level of event, but yes, I mean, typically Secret Service is here 2 or 3 days before. We have a presidential visit coming up, a former president, in a couple days. Secret Service is actually coming here tomorrow. They'll sweep the hotel. They'll do a walkthrough, background checks on all the people that work here. And then the day of the event, I mean, depending on what time, early morning lockdowns. But we're used to it, so we take into mind that they're going to shut down the room, and we kind of build in those things that we need to do to provide the service for the guests, because the guests attending the event don't care that we have to run all the food through metal detectors to get it into the room. They just want their dinner or their breakfast or whatever. So we're very used to doing that, but it's a lot of work. You'd be surprised what happens behind the scenes that to every guest in the hotel, which is the way it should be, it's completely seamless.
Well, I can imagine there's a lot of work, and I want Mike, our photographer, to get some of this fantastic decor, I guess, for want of a better word.
When the hotel originally opened, we actually had the second most gold leaf after the Library of Congress. So everything you see that is relief work at one point was actually covered in 14-karat gold leaf. Unfortunately, during one of the misguided renovations in the 50s to modernize the hotel, they painted over all of it. Luckily, in the 1980s, they did a massive restoration of the hotel back to its original floor plan, and they did restore some of that gold leafing.
Let me ask you about the restorations. The hotel was built between 1923 and 1925, thereabouts. How many restorations have there been, and when was the first?
Oh, well, I mean, very quickly after we opened, they actually added another wing to the hotel. Hotel opened in February. That wing opened in October with a coffee shop. So major renovations. The 50s, there was one. Extremely misguided, unfortunately, where they really tried to modernize the hotel. They took down all the chandeliers, painted over the gold leafing. The lobby has a beautiful skylight that was
Tried to turn into a Holiday Inn.
Well, and I won't say who owned us, but they actually closed in the skylights. The good news is a lot of it was hidden behind temporary fake walls. So in 1980, they did a massive $65 million restoration of the hotel. And when they started pulling down these fake ceilings and walls, they found a lot of the original features of the hotel. And we renovate every 2 to 4 years to maintain the look, because it is a lot to maintain.
All right, what's our next step?
Guest rooms.
So, Keith, here we are on the 7th floor of the Mayflower, and we're going to look at some of the guest rooms, and one of the more famous guests was FDR.
Yes, actually, right before his inauguration and before he moved into the White House, he actually stayed here at the Mayflower in one of the apartments. He stayed in apartment 776. It's very famous because that's where he finished his inaugural address, which included the famous words, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself."
It was written right here?
Part of it was written right here, yeah. His final draft was finished here in the hotel. A lot of what we know about the history of the hotel is from a series of magazines that were published monthly by the hotel called the Mayflower Log. And the story in the log was when Eleanor Roosevelt came down to inspect the apartments prior to them taking up residency, she actually left the hotel and then walked to the White House to meet with the First Lady to provide some transition turnover before they moved in. So I don't think First Ladies would walk anywhere in D.C. now. Additionally,
without 6 men around them.
No. Additionally, the GI Bill was actually written here, and that was actually written on Mayflower letterhead, and we have original photographs of that. During World War II, there was a German spy that was captured here.
Is this the guy from Long Island? Yes, okay.
Exactly. Yes, you're very good. You are good. Captured here in the hotel. And, our rooms continue to make history. I mean, this stuff was in the past. It happens every day. We're going to show you a more famous room, and I'll let you tell that story, though.
Well, perhaps the most famous guest room is rather nondescript. It's not a big room. It's room 871. And Keith, tell us why I guess you'd like me to say why it's so famous. A certain New York governor had some, shall we say, recreational activities here. That plate has been replaced many, many times. I don't suppose I'd know who has the first plate. Well,
I actually have the first one.
Oh, really?
I do, in the archives for the hotel. It's interesting when because you mentioned stories like this that happened, and why we are not necessarily comfortable talking about it right now. Eventually, it will be part of our hotel history and part of our story. But out
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
It's everything. And as a respect to the family, we don't talk about it too much. But yeah, when the story broke, I actually called the hotel and said, I need you to remove that door sign because I have a feeling if we don't, somebody else is going to come get it.
And once you fixed it, how many times was it taken down?
We put up temporary dummy ones so that we could always track what happens to them. So I think we went through 4 or 5 of them to what we currently have now. The funny thing is I actually did see one end up on eBay.
And you had to put up paper signs for a while because they just kept disappearing.
Absolutely. We made it look like the sign, but it was made out of paper in a little frame. And those are the ones that have surfaced the most, which is very funny.
And how often do you get guests saying, I'd like to stay in 871 if it's available?
Fairly often. It pops up every once in a while. Obviously, people from New York or people who follow politics or people who, for whatever reason, want to stay in historic sleeping rooms at hotels will ask for those rooms or for this room in particular.
Well, we're not going to show you 871, but we are going to show you some of the nicer guest rooms here at the Mayflower. So here we are in the Mayflower Suite on the 2nd floor, and we have, I guess, a sleeping room here and a sleeping room there, Keith?
Exactly. And then this is the main living room. Nice suite, living room, dining room, little library area. This is the only suite in the hotel, though, with outdoor space. It does have a nice little terrace that overlooks Connecticut Avenue. Not a favorite for Secret Service, so we typically don't use this for heads of state. Low floor and then the balcony. There was one delegation head that actually would prefer to stay here, and we allowed him to, and of course Secret Service had a fit, but that was the former Prime Minister of Ireland when he would come over for St. Patrick's Day. Bertie Ahern used to stay in this suite because he liked to smoke, but he didn't like to smoke in his room, so he liked to sit out on the suite terrace and smoke his cigarettes. I don't think there was much of a threat for the Prime Minister of Ireland, but Secret Service wasn't real thrilled with that.
So we're in this luxury bathroom that has a bidet and a steam room. But what I like to see, Keith, here is the fact that the very same shampoo and coffee maker that we plebeians use, the rich and famous also use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We take care of everyone the same. Your room may be bigger, but we're going to take care of you equally.
Well, now we're taking you really inside the Mayflower. This is the main kitchen at the hotel, and on a busy night, how many meals might you turn out here?
Oh, I mean, our largest banquet would be close to 600 people that we would do dinner for in the Grand Ballroom alone. If we had the other rooms going, I mean, they could do upwards of 1,000 meals. We have our own bakery down here. We do all our own baking. We have our own butcher. Does a lot of the cuts of meat as well. We have a stock room where they do all the stocks for soups and seasonings. So a lot of stuff that was done a long time ago are still done here at the hotel that a lot of hotels nowadays just have shipped in for their events.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the traditions that make the Mayflower so special.
I mean, I think definitely, being known as Washington's second best address, which is what President Truman used to call us, there's a lot of traditions, a lot of different things that we do from a service standpoint that people may not even notice. And it's simple things, I think, that make us nice and unique. For example, if you attended a meeting here and the meeting had a buffet luncheon, we do coffee service at the table. So while you may go to a buffet line to get your breakfast or your lunch, there will be coffee service at the table. So you're sitting there eating your lunch, there's a coffee cup, the servers come around with the pots and they pour the coffee. It's a lot of those little touches, I think, that we do that people almost don't even notice anymore because it's so seamless.
A lot of flowers around the hotel as well. Do you have your own floral shop?
We do. We've actually had a flower shop in the hotel since we opened. To this day, they do all the floral in the hotel that you see in the lobby and in the public spaces. They also do most of the weddings in the hotel. We do over 50 weddings a year. And they actually do some floral in some of the other nearby hotels.
One of the things that makes the Mayflower Hotel so great, I think, the furnishings and the luxury appointments. And some people, Keith, like them so much they just can't part with them when they leave.
It's true. I mean, we lose a lot of things throughout the years. As part of our 85th anniversary last year, we did a special exhibit on anything that was ever taken over the course of the 85 years. So you could return it with no questions asked, full amnesty. All we wanted to know is the story behind the item.
And we're not talking just Mayflower towels and hotel bathrobes.
Oh, no. We actually got 2 of our original 1925 banquet chairs returned, several pieces of our hotel silver.
Art?
No paintings, mainly silver. We actually had a interview that was done by the Washington Post of our silversmith, and we still have a silversmith, in 1957, and he said annually we lose about 6,000 spoons a year. So we actually got a lot of spoons back.
These are people actually taking them, not accidentally?
Oh, no, they were put in their pockets and they took them.
You need a metal detector to exit.
Well, he said the strangest thing he ever lost was a 5-gallon silver punch bowl at a holiday party. And we've never found it, so if anybody's listening and they have it, we'd love to know how you got it out and what you're doing with it now.
You go to most affairs, they'll let you take the flowers home. Here, the punch bowl, well, they won't let you, but some people do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there you have it, a quick tour of the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. And Keith McLenzy, thank you very much.
It's our pleasure. We love having you guys here. Looking forward to your visit next year.
Well, we are too. It was a great time here, always is. And if you're in Washington, D.C. and looking for a place to stay, we highly recommend the Mayflower Hotel.